Trump just secured a major legislative win, his biggest policy package since returning to power. But instead of unified celebration, parts of his base are furious. First, he's now pushing a plan to shield some migrant workers from deportation, a sharp turn from his mass deportation promises. Second, his administration abruptly announced they have nothing more to reveal about Jeffrey Epstein after I don't know how many years of them telling us, well, he did this and we know he did that, and we can't wait to get it in there to show you this and to show you that. And third, Trump reversed course on the Ukraine. He's now pledging more weapons just days after MAGA influencers praised the Pentagon for hitting the pause with the ceasefire. I was one of them stupid idiots talking about bragging on him doing that. And supporters are now calling his strategies hypocritical. What do you think? Is this Trump evolving? Is he evolving to win over moderates? Or is he starting to lose the very movement that he built?
Well, I'm going to start with the Epstein thing because it's on my mind and it's the biggest current event thing probably going on this week. And this is a legit question to our listeners out there. I want to know, write to us this week and tell us why you think that they did not or say they're not going to release or basically claiming that there isn't anything else to release. And it's interesting because this is the first time I think I've seen people on the far right and on the far left actually in agreement. There's quite a wave of people that want more information on Epstein release. Now, what would be the reason? And I'm being realistic here. What would be the reason that? Because let's break it down for a second. When we first heard about this news break, everybody was blaming Pam Bondi, and the argument between Pam Bondi and the guy at the FBI. Now, can we all just agree that? I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know about you, Phil, that this is coming from Trump. This is coming from the top. Pam Bondi didn't make a decision to not release anything. This is Trump making that, right? Okay, so if we can agree on that, I've got some liberal friends out there that immediately go, "Oh, that's because Trump's got something to hide." I don't know that I buy that either. I buy. My opinion is, and I've looked at lists. If you've looked at lists of people that were involved with Epstein, which I did this week, I decided to do some research. And I looked at all the things that were mentioned during Maxwell's trial. I looked at stuff that.
How did you get a list?
Well, because it's out there. I mean, there's both a bunch of different lists out there of people that flew to his island. And there's all sorts of different lists. And that, by the way, none of these people are necessarily guilty of anything. It's just that they either knew him well, were friends with him, went to parties, went to his island, flew on his plane. Various stuff, but the list is so extensive. Trump's on there, Clinton's on there, Bill Gates is on there, the Kennedys, almost the entire Kennedy family from Ted Kennedy to Maria Shriver to it goes on and on and on. Obviously Prince Andrew. People far and wide, both in industry, in politics, in show business, actors and actresses. I mean, there was all sorts of people on this list. So my point to the whole thing, though, is I broke down the list. If you look at the list, at least 50% of the people on the list were Republican and 50% were Democrat. So it wasn't like he hung out with Republicans or hung out with Democrats. So the political motivation to not release this list, I would question at a high level. I would, Andrew Cuomo was on there. It just went on. Some of the people were surprising. So I don't know that. I don't buy the thing that Trump's not releasing it because Trump doesn't want people to find out that he went to the. And people already know that they were friends. So I don't buy that. Do I think for a second, and this also goes along with your change in policy to Russia, change in policy to the migrant workers. Do I think that for a second that Trump doesn't get influenced by individual people and money?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So do I think that there's maybe some wealthy guy on this list, if there is a list, or if there's not a list, there's some evidence somewhere, and he's telling Trump, you can't release this. You can't release this. Here, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. Yep. I'll buy that. Do I think it's Trump? No. I don't think it's actually Trump worrying about himself.
I'm not even going to try and figure out who it is, Mike. You've had some mobility in your life. I'm going back to the mobility thing. Okay. I lived in Northern Virginia. I lived in DC. It's a Sodom and Gomorrah when it comes to politicians. They have swinger parties, and I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. The swinger parties, certain politicians have like these ranches in the middle of Virginia that they'll throw parties at, and everybody will come down in their limos. I told you about, there used to be a bar literally across the street from the White House that it was in a hotel where people would just go to hook up and stuff like that. My point is, you're talking about a demographic of people on that list who have the proclivity to do these things.
Yes.
First of all,
the one thing that they all have in common is money.
But what I'm getting to is, I think they're all. I believe there's like 3 degrees of separation from everybody else in government, and there's probably, considering there's so many people in politics and high places that are involved in this, just knowing how the world works, Mike, what's the chances of that the FBI, the CIA, or some other investigative community is investigating like half of these guys on the list, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
Okay, so if we're going with that, then that would mean that what's probably happening is that a lot of those names on the list, there's a legal organization that's come in and be like, nope, you can't do this. We're currently doing an investigation about this. So let's say I'm on the list. You guys got me on the list for a little girl, but the FBI has me for being the world's biggest drug trafficker or whatever. They want me for that. They don't want to give me up on the list. Right. And considering how many people is on this list, considering the positions that there are, I'm venturing to say that there's a bunch of investigations going on half these people, totally not related to this. And there have been probably 100 or more different times that somebody legally has come in and said, no, you can't go move forward with this list because we're doing an investigation. This is something that happens regularly, where we have somebody in our hands and they're like, no, let them go. Yeah, because we're investigating them for something else. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a very plausible thing. I don't know what you guys out there in Listenerville think, but I would agree there with Phil that there's something more to it that they can't say. I think.
Whoa! No, I'm not saying that's the only thing. I'm just saying. I'm saying there's probably like 10 different things out there.
That is one reason for sure, and like you said, all those people that potentially, if there is a list, have in common is that they're wealthy, right? So they all have the means to wine, dine, and sway Donald Trump, if you will, to be like, I can't have it. I mean, it could be Prince Andrew. For who knows? Look, Trump, you can't release this list. I'll give you whatever you need or whatever you want or whatever. Can't do it. So do I think that that's plausible? Absolutely. I think it's been handled poorly. You know, I think they could do much better PR. I mean, we've talked about this before. That's what Trump's strong suit is. I think in this case, he's not doing a very good job of this. He's not. He's looking terrible.
I think he thought that he would come into office and be like, yeah, see, I've appointed this person for the Epstein files, and I've got this person addressing all these issues that I talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we would only stick with the big issues and that this stuff would die down eventually.
Yeah. No.
He did not realize how big a deal this was to the population. We're more into the sensationalism stuff. P.
Yep.
Diddy was big news for no reason forever.
Right. Right.
So
well, I mean, Trump was the one that
you got more people following.
It's his fault.
He played it up because he saw they were interested, but he did not understand how interested they were.
Yep. Yep.
He thought that this would drop off in our minds for something else. But the average stupid American, that's the only thing they care about is the list.
Sadly,
He could solve everything. But if I don't know who's on this list and what nasty things they've done, I'm not entertained. Yeah. This goes back to the beginning. We have been conditioned to entertainment news. We don't care about if he had passed 10 bills that changed the world.
Yep. And I think you're seeing some of the cracks you're seeing in Trump right now is caused by his own personality. Like you brought up Ukraine. I think he's pissed at Putin. He's pissed. He's butthurt, and he's like, "Well, screw him. I'm going to send them more missiles. Then I'm going to send whatever to Ukraine." I think that's what that's about. And I think to some extent, some of that with the immigration thing, he's got people on the right going, "Hey, who's going to mow my lawn?" He's got those people on him too. And Trump doesn't like to be not liked. That's his weakness.
I agree with that. But I also think Trump is doing exactly what the leader of the Ukraine did when he was in the White House that day and they attacked him.
Mm-hmm.
He still stood on his ground.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening with Trump is he thought he had a certain kind of relationship with Putin, and now Putin is making him look like, I don't care about Trump.
Right.
He's making him look bad.
Yep.
That's what's happening. So Trump has got to do something to make himself look like that dude again.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
The problem is he's playing both sides of the fence because
he got punked by Putin.
He got punked by him, but he's sending Ukraine a bunch of weapons. But the problem is he also gave Russia 50 days. Where the hell did he come up with 50 days? 50 days. I mean, that's basically giving Putin a gift. If he's got 50 days more to bomb the shit out of Kiev or something, I mean, that's a win for Russia.
Well, this also could be a chess move. It could be exactly what you just said, but I want to look like I wasn't involved. He might be setting the Ukraine up.
Yep.